everyone, it's Nina and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a classic booktube video, and that is the mid-year book tag. Every June, pretty much every booktuber does this tag, kind of chronicling what their reading year has been like so far and what they're hoping to achieve in the remaining 6 months of the year. I have not done one of these videos on my channel yet, since I had started my channel in September of last year, but I really wanted to go ahead and answer all the questions with you guys today. I'll leave a full list of the questions down below if you'd like to participate as well. And yeah, with that intro out of the way, let's get into the video. The first question is, what is the best book you've read in 2024? So I have only had 4 5-stars so far this year, so I thought I would just mention them all here. The first one was Word Slut by Amanda Montell. This is a nonfiction that focuses on sociolinguistics combined with feminism. The next one is The Low Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. This is a children's classic that just holds a lot of personal childhood nostalgia for me. And rereading again this year, I just really enjoyed it. I still think it holds up reading it as an adult. The next book I had was The Last Olympian from the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. I had given the rest of the books in the series 4 stars, but this last one just really hit me hard in some of the emotional elements of the story. And this is a quintessential middle grade action adventure series. If you've never heard of Percy Jackson, I'm pretty sure you've been living under a rock for the last 20 years. And the last 5-star I had was Don't Lie to You Like a Best Friend by Emma R. Albin. This is a lesbian historical romance. I just thought this book was so cute and also so well written. I feel like it just had a perfect mix of really cute, fluffy romantic scenes and then a lot of really good queer angst and pain. The second question is, what is the best sequel you've read in 2024? And for me, that is A Power Unbound by Freya Marsk. This is the third and final book in the Last Binding trilogy, which is a set of 3 queer historical fantasy romances set in the Edwardian period. This one I just loved so much. I really love the main character Hawthorne. He's a character we've seen in the previous 2 books in the series as a side character, and finally getting his romance here was just everything I could have hoped for. The next question is, what is a new release that you haven't read yet but really want to? To be honest, there hasn't been a ton of new releases that I've missed. I've been pretty good at keeping up with a lot of the books I initially put on my new releases lists, but one that I had not known about until after it had come out was The Prospects by K.T. Hoffman. This is a baseball sports romance with a trans main character. It looks super cute. I really like the cover, and I'm not really a big sports romance person in general, but I feel like this is the perfect niche combination of things that would get me interested in reading a sports romance. Another one that recently came out that I really want to read is The Age of Magical Overthinking by Amanda Montell. Like I said before, I gave Word Slut by her 5 stars, and I also given the previous book of hers that I read, Cultish, also 5 stars. So this is a big 5-star prediction for me. I'm just really excited to read this, and hopefully I can get to it before the end of the year. The 4th question on this list is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of 2024? I have 3 books in this list. The first one is You're the Problem, It's You by Emma R. Albin. This is going to be the sequel to Don't Want You Like a Best Friend. That is a gay historical romance that is following the cousins of the 2 main characters from Don't Want You Like a Best Friend. Don't Want You Like a Best Friend is a friends to lovers romance, and this one is an enemies to lovers, which is usually not my preferred trope, but I'm willing to make an exception here because I do really want to see both these characters' stories, and I have faith in Emma R. Albin as a writer. I'm definitely going to be getting this book as close to release date as I can. Another book I really want to read is Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This is a queer adult fantasy that involves blood magic, and I think also has a polyamorous main romance in it. Sounds like another good niche combination of a lot of my interests, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be an Illumicrate book pick in the upcoming months, so I'm definitely going to be getting whatever the special edition ends up coming out for this book there. And the last new release I'm really excited for is Sword Crossed by Freya Marsk. This is a standalone historical fantasy romance that she's coming out with that is going to be out in October. And the hardback first print run is also going to have sprayed edges. So I did end up pre-ordering this the last time Barnes & Noble had their pre-order sale. I really like the cover design as well. I just feel given how much I love Freya Marsk's other trilogy, I'm willing to take a risk and check out this new standalone from her, since she definitely has become one of my favorite authors. Okay, the next question is, what is your biggest disappointment from this year? And the book that came to mind for this question for me was The Alchemy of Moonlight by David Ferrero. This is a YA polyamorous fantasy romance horror that is a retelling of the mysteries of Adolfo, but make it queer and with werewolves. I also thought this sounded like a perfect combination of a lot of my niche interests, but it just really fell flat for me. I didn't really understand the main character's motivations, and I felt like the main character's romances were both a little insta-lovey, but at the same time took a really long time and weren't very well developed. And also the werewolf element I felt like didn't play a major role in the story until like the very end. So yes, I'm definitely disappointed in this one. I'm also disappointed because I got this really nice special edition from Dazzling Bookish Shop, and I'm still on the fence on if I'm going to keep it. I gave it kind of in between a 3 and a 3.5 stars when I read it, and yeah, I'm just not sure if I'm going to want to keep this in the long run. Okay, the next question is, what is your biggest surprise for this year? And for me, that is the Rulebook for Restless Rogues by Jess Everly. I am like obsessed with this book, and I read the previous book in the series, and I'm so excited for the next book to come out in the series. Overall, I just feel like I really, really love Jess Everly's writing style. I feel like I do like a romance book where the main focus is the romance and about the development and the relationship of the two main characters. If there's like a side plot going on, that's fine as well, but I really do want the focus to be on the development of the main characters' relationships and seeing them in scenes together. So her books being more slice of life, characters interacting with each other is totally fine for me. I read this book in my last historical romance reading vlog if you guys want to check that out. But yes, I just super enjoyed my time reading this, and it was a complete random pick. I just saw it on my new releases shelf at my library and decided to take a chance on it, and I'm so glad I did. I do feel like the cover is very ugly, and it kind of honestly makes me feel like if I was able to get a book this good from a cover this ugly, maybe I should take a chance on more ugly indie romances that have just like the man on the cover. I feel like I'm always dissuaded from reading those types of books just because I think the covers are ugly. But I feel like this just goes to show that you can't judge a book by its cover, and an ugly cover could be hiding a real gem of a book inside. Okay, the next question is, what are your new favorite authors? This first one I wouldn't necessarily qualify as someone new because I have read from them before, and that is Freya Marske. Like I said before, I feel like now that I finished the Last Binding trilogy, it's really supplanted her as one of my favorite authors. Enough so that I am able to take a chance and just read another one of her standalone books that's coming out, kind of sight unseen, not knowing what it's going to be about. And the other one is Emma R. Albin, who wrote Don't Want You Like a Best Friend. I feel like with just how much I connected with that book, that me and her are probably on like the same wavelength, and hopefully any of her like upcoming releases I'll be able to resonate with just as much as I did with her first one. The next question is, what is your new favorite character? Again, this is someone who is not a new favorite character because I've loved them for a long time in the previous books I've read, and that is Jack Alston, aka Lord Hawthorne. I love him. I love that he's so grumpy. I love that he's really like sarcastic and rude, and that he doesn't care what anyone thinks, but it's really because he's trying to push everyone away because he's hiding all of the pain he has deep down. Really just like a good I can fix him type of character. Okay, the next question is, what is a book that made you cry? The first one I already mentioned, and it was one of my 5 stars for the year, and that is The Last Olympian. I ended up crying at a scene where Percy is talking to one of the Greek gods Hestia. I'm kind of in that scene imbuing the main thematic elements of all of the story, which is the importance of home and finding a place that you can call your home. I thought that scene was just so beautiful and like just showcased the whole message of the story really well. The other book I almost cried at was The Gentleman's Book of Vices, which is the prequel book of A Rulebook for Restless Rogues. There's just a scene later on when one of the main characters, Miles, is telling his kind of emotional backstory, and just like all of the trauma and like isolation and loneliness he was going through was really painful and probably incredibly realistic to what a lot of other queer people had to go through in the Victorian era. And it just like really hit me hard when I was reading it. Okay, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the next question is, what is a book that made you happy? And I feel like this is literally all of the historical romances that I've read so far this year. As you can probably see in my historical romance reading vlog, I'm also going to have another like series reading vlog coming up in the near future, which includes some of the other books that have really made me happy this year. But I just feel like this year overall, I've really connected with a lot of the queer historical romances I've read. I feel like they help bring light to what probably was a very dark time for a lot of queer people in history, in being able to give these characters their happy endings that didn't exist for a lot of queer people during that time period. And a lot of the ones I've read have also been very like fluffy and cute and funny, which are all things I really enjoy in a romance book. Okay, the next question is, what is your favorite book to movie adaptation that you've seen so far this year? And that is a movie that I have not yet read the original book source material from, but I definitely plan to read it. And that is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I talked about this in my favorites video. I just was so blown away when I saw the movie. I'm surprised I had never seen it before because I feel like a lot of millennials my age grew up either reading the book or watching this movie. And I just really enjoyed it, and I'm super excited to eventually read the original book that it came from. Okay, the next question is, what is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year? And for me, this last year, between like the end of 2023 to now, has definitely been like my peak in buying special editions. But the one I ended up choosing is a book I have not yet read, and that is The Absence Underground by Jamie Paxton. This is a YA, lesbian historical fantasy romance. This edition is from Dazzling Bookish Shop, and I just really, really love the redesigned cover for this. And the sprayed edges with the cats are so cute. Even the like signed book plate is themed, and there also is like designs on the dust jacket that are really, really pretty. Okay, so the last question for this tag is, what are some books that you really need to read before the end of this year? To keep a long story short, pretty much all of the books I have on my 24 books to read in 2024. I have made a lot of progress in this list, but I still probably have at least half that I have to go through in the second half of the year. Chief among those are books I've actually already started, one of them being Nona the Ninth and the other one being The Queen of the Damned. Both of these I'm in the process of reading and probably will finish in the next month or so. Another book on that list I'd really like to finish is Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is the last Stephanie Garber book I have yet to read before she comes out with her next book, Spectacular, at the end of the year. And I really would like to have it be that I've completely caught up with all of Stephanie Garber's backlist before the year is over. I had originally planned to do that last year in December, but I really would like to be able to finish all of her books before the end of 2024. And like I mentioned before, there are quite a few new releases I'd like to read in this year as well. One of them being The Age of Magical Overthinking, as well as I want to read as many of the books I've gotten from Dazzling Bookish Shop and my Illumicrate subscriptions as well. So that is going to be it for the mid-year book tag. I'd love to hear your answers to any of the questions that I talked about in this video in the comments down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, consider liking, commenting, or subscribing if you aren't already. Consider following me on the Storygraph if you'd like to see my reading updates in real time, as well as following me on my Bookstagram, which is linked in my description as well. And that is going to be it for me today. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!